We have 5:30, so we will call this meeting to order. Ms. Swopes, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem,
Here.
Mr. Elkins is absent. Ms. Parker. Here. Mr. Robinson.
Here.
Mr. Rackler.
Here.
Mr. Merrick.
Here.
Mr. Self.
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Thank you. If you will please stand, Robinson's gonna lead us in the invitation and I'll lead us in our pledges.
Father, we come to you again tonight to ask you to continue to bless on this, put your blessing on this community, on the employees of our community and our residents. Especially watch over the teachers as they try to bring our kids through the educational process. We ask you to watch over police and fire departments as they have to do their hard jobs. And we ask you to do all this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Okay, next item is public comment. The public has the opportunity to provide comment on subjects regarding to city business. During the public comment period, speakers' comments will be limited to 3 minutes unless the mayor and or council request for more information. The time limit is given in an effort to allow the public input, but also to move the agenda forward in an efficient manner. All speakers must sign in at the beginning of the meeting. Topics are limited to 6 speakers per topic. We had one. Did anybody else need to sign in? Where we start? Okay, we have Mr. Chris Gay.
Good evening. So we had a interaction, I guess, with Officer Bramwell earlier this week. For Dallas Police Department. Absolute professional. Just he was a little rigid at first, but he is absolutely a professional. Works evenings. Probably don't ever see him unless you're up early like I am, but does a great job. So just wanted to kind of say that. Had an interaction with Officer Ordonez a couple weeks ago. Officer Ordonez seemed like every time something bad happens to me, an emergency, whatever the case may be, he is the officer that responds. I don't know if it's just his bad luck or my good luck, but another just absolute professional, does a phenomenal job. He's courteous, he's kind, he's understanding. He goes out of his way to make sure that he's doing what's right. I mean, he's point blank told me before, well, hey, I'm not going to do this because I'm concerned about violating this person's rights. Even though I understand your concerns, I don't want to violate this person's rights. And even though I disagreed with him at the time, I appreciate that more than being upset that he didn't see my point of view as much as I wanted him to, because at the end of the day, that's what's important. So he's just been phenomenal. Him and Officer Rodriguez are the two that I seem to deal with all the time for countless things that happen. And, you know, I hope they're the two that I always get to deal with because they are just phenomenal officers. You know, and they don't get the recognition they probably deserve. So I just wanted to put that out there. A couple of weeks ago, I had a fire at one of my properties set by a vagrant. Chief and his guys showed up, got the fire extinguished, did a great job. Appreciate them getting that done and not allowing there to be a whole lot of damage to stuff. So, you know, they need that recognition as well. They all need recognition, but those are the folks that I interact with a lot. So some things I just want to kind of touch on. I've spoken to Ms. Cordova about a few things in detail, but I just kind of want to put it out there for public comment. The employees of the city, more than just the firefighters and more than the police department, they're all government employees. They all fall subject to the same rules. I feel like the police officers are probably scrutinized a lot more than anyone because they're forced with law enforcement. But it applies to all city employees. The constitutional rights of the citizens are top priority, and it should be for every single employee of the city. Just because you're a city employee, but you're not a police officer, does not mean you get to violate people's First Amendment right, or their Fourth Amendment right, or their 14th Amendment right, or their Fifth Amendment right. It doesn't mean you get to violate trespassing laws. It doesn't mean that you get to willy-nilly just do whatever you want because you're a city employee. But I think there needs to be some training, probably across the board, for generalized city employees, that so they understand that, hey, these are the rights the citizens have, and you guys have to recognize and respect these rights, and you can't just do what you want because you work for the city. There's a set of rules, and we all have to follow those rules. So that's what I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. Next item, minutes of the previous meeting. They were in your packet for review.
Move for approval?
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Parker and a second by Mr. Self. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? We have one abstention, Ms. Swopes, for the record, Mr. Robinson. Okay, presentation items. Item 1, Employee Service Award. We have Mr. Gramsell come on up. Is a 5-year service award. The city of Pawtucket, I'm excited. The city of Pawtucket presents this certificate of appreciation to Andrew Gramsell in recognition of 5 years of your faithful service, outstanding performance, and commitment to excellence for the city of Pawtucket Fire Department. Dated March 3rd, 2020. There's your 5-year pin. So while I sign this, I'll give you a chance to say a few words.
Hi. Andrew's a great employee. He makes me feel older than any of our other employees. He has been kindergarten when I was a senior at Doris. So we've known each other a long time.
We appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you. Thank you. Item 2 under presentations is a presentation for FY 2025 Q2 as submitted to DFA. This is our quarterly reports along with the revenue report. Ms. Rivera.
Yes, good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. So included in your packet is the second quarter reported to Department of Finance. This second quarter report was prepared and submitted to the state, which on the due date, January 31st. It is for the financial activity for July 1st of 2024 through December 31st of 2024. This recap report that you see and have in your packets represents all of the funds that we manage for the city and their respective balances as of December 31st. The cash column is our beginning cash as of July. Investment column are investments we currently hold with Fidelity, U.S. Bank, and local government investment pool. The revenues and expenditure columns that you see on this recap report represent the year-to-date actuals. The adjustments column in the adjustments column can contain prior year entries, accounts payable pending items, and or changes in the investments. You can see all of the funds balances. And to recap, the two with the most activity is our general fund. So general fund as of December 31st had an adjusted balance of just a little over 5.6 million. And of course, that balance also includes the investment, which is what you see in the investment column. And then the water enterprise had an adjusted balance of 11.8 million. And again, a reminder that 7.1 million of that is in the investments. And also in your packet, which is at the very end, is that revenue summary report that I also include, that you can see the details for, or the summary for each fund. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Do you have any questions?
Everything balancing out like it's supposed to now.
It looks good. So you'll see that revenue summary report that I provided to you. In revenues is that 14.9 million year-to-date activities, which is also what you'll see at the very end here on revenues as well. So the encode summary report and the LGBMS recap balance.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I have one more question on the adjustments. When it's a negative number, that is because we're still waiting for revenues for some of the grants to come through.
So in the adjustments, it can be that we're bringing it down, bringing that cash down, because it could be if there's a change in the investment and we already recorded in the investment. So then we need to take it out in the adjustment column.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for Ms. Rivera? Okay, with that, we appreciate all your hard work that this has taken to probably get you to where you're at right now, but it's not going unnoticed, so we appreciate everything you're doing.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, action items, community services. Item 1, we have the request of approval of easement application for 2128 South Roosevelt Road 7, submitted by Denise Joanne Martin.
Perfect, thank you. So we have an easement application. This one's will be very similar to what we've always done. The only difference is it's not in city limits, it's in the county, but the easement is still for a piece of property the city owns. So as you can see here, this is the survey of the property. That yellow part is what is on city property. So the easement would be for the existing 274 feet by 65.1 feet for the Metal Horse Arena and fence that runs along that northern boundary. What had happened was there was a fence there that was sold in a cash deal, and if you do cash and you don't go through lenders, you don't have to get a survey for the deal. The property owners built to that fence line thinking that's where their property was. It is being sold now where the lenders had a survey done, and it comes over a little bit. We do have the buyer here to answer any questions you may have. Of course, she wasn't involved in the building. She's just looking to buy the property. Ms. Chris, if you go to the next one. So here is the green shade is what the property is, the city property. And then the yellow one is the property that is needing the easement. And then we just included a picture of the structure that has encroached a little bit onto city property. One more, I believe. That's it. And that is it. I stand for any questions you may have. And then of course, she's here to answer any questions you may have of her too.
Was this easement issued to the previous property owner?
No, so this is the first time the easement's
Because
been
it was
caught.
a cash. Any questions?
And if she was to sell the property, it would not transfer to the new property owner, it'd have to be renewed
Correct. Easement's
as
non-transferable.
soon as the building is removed from the property, that would revert back to the city.
Yes. And then even with the easement, if something happened that we needed the city property for something, we can move it. This just allows them to get all their paperwork together. But I do not foresee us needing to utilize that little piece of land.
Mr. Robinson?
Why don't these go to the planning and zoning commission? They don't have to go?
No, so they don't have to go. Most cases is because how the selling of this property is held up until they get this easement. So if they go to planning and zoning, it adds about a month or two to the application. And interest rates change or they lose buyers. So we expedite by bringing it straight to the next council.
Anybody else? Seeing none, this is an action item. What is the pleasure of the council? We have a motion by Mr. Rackler and a second by Mr. Merrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to infrastructure, Mrs. McVeigh. Item 1 is the request approval for resolution 2025-02 and ratification of the transportation project fund TPF application for a capital project involving North Avenue K and Portales.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So this is our TPF application, and the resolution is to complete our application. This one is for our capital project. So it's going to be Avenue K. And you can see on the map up there, it's going to be from Highway 70 to 17. And we will be doing rehabilitation to that road.
Any questions for Ms. McVeigh?
What is the process that this goes through to be selected?
So TPF has a point system. So the more that you apply, the more points that you receive. And whenever I attend the meetings, then you receive points, that type of thing. So it's a point system.
Maybe I have a different question, but what I want to know, and maybe that's something that Eric's wanting to know as well, is how did that road get chosen? That's what I'm.
Oh, okay. So with this road, we're kind of in talks with ENMU with this road because they also need it done. We need it done. And that's hopeful in grants to come together with two entities. And
The Eastern's not putting one.
What are they providing?
so they provide a support letter, which is actually a really big deal with grant applications. And we are going to apply for a match waiver on this one as well. But it's in disarray. It's with the potholes and the filling of the potholes and whatnot.
So if we apply for the grant waiver and we're denied, do we have the money budgeted to continue on with the process?
We do.
Mr.
So was it about a year ago we approved 3 or 4 streets? Is this just part of the process that it takes this long to get?
It is
Anything else?
actually. So a lot of times you'll apply 3 times. And with that, you gain points. So each time that you do apply for the same project, you gain more points. And then with more points, then the closer you are to accepting or being awarded.
Basically moved up the list, I guess, in other
Yes.
words to say. When I know Mr. Kenmore, which at Eastern, he was instrumental in helping get the grant or working with you, is that correct?
Working with us, yes. And we have done some ADA to this street already. So we did some sidewalk and curb and gutter to this street.
That stops right at the real road, right? Or does it cross 70?
It does not cross 70.
What happened to the money that we were supposed to get from the real road crossing to 70? It's the same road there, University.
Oh, okay. Are you speaking of the maintenance with TPF that we received?
Yes.
Last year?
You're not there, UK, you're not the.
North Avenue K, yes. So that one was our maintenance from last year and we were awarded that, yes. This one is on the other side.
Oh, I know.
This is south. Yes, sir.
Well, we've been working on that for the last 3 or 4 years. And I thought all the time it was gonna happen whenever we would get the one in University.
So we have done plan and design for North Avenue K. And we did receive maintenance for North Avenue K along with other various roads with our TPF last year. And we have done curb and gutter on South Avenue K. And this one will be to rehabilitate the actual street on South Avenue K.
You know, it's real bad there.
It is.
Mr. Robinson.
Keep saying North Avenue K, but I thought that. What we did was from the railroad track to 70. And North Avenue K is on the other side of the railroad tracks. And I don't think we're getting monies for that already.
We already got the curb and gutter there.
It's already curb and gutter on the North Avenue K. What I'm trying to say, it's confusing when you say North Avenue K to me. Cause I thought that the grant, the money we was talking about was from south of railroad track to US 7.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and in answering Mr. Lopez, I think that I made it more confusing, and I do apologize for that. The plan and design was money that we did receive for the railroad and 270 for drainage and for rehabilitation, and that was for plan and design. And we do have that plan and design completed.
And money spent.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is a whole new project, but I thought this project was already approved prior. And we were gonna receive was it 2.5 or 2?
Second time we've seen this, that's why we.
Okay. And that is because this is actually the third time that we're going to apply for this particular road. And that is because of the process of TPF.
So we have not been awarded this project
Correct.
to date.
Correct. What we were awarded was for curb and gutter and ADA in this section.
Okay.
Let me ask you something else. Maybe I should ask the city manager. The legislators gave us, was supposed to have gave us 350,000 for between the railroad and the Highway 70. And that, and then they said, what we're going to do from 70 to wherever that goes down University. What happened to the 350,000 that Stuart Eagle had gave it?
So that one was actually 300,000, and that was for the plan and design for the drainage and for the design that I was speaking of earlier. That we have expended and we have the design for.
So what's the next step to get beyond design and do the project?
To apply for another grant for construction, reconstruction, and construction management.
So it sounds like it's all broken up into different.
There's different phases,
So
yes,
it's not
ma'am.
Money for the roads.
If we get 300,000 more now, or 350,000 to finish. For legislature.
If we were to get 350,000, we would not be able to finish that design. We would not be able to finish construction. That design in particular that you're speaking to is about a $2 million construction project.
But the design is complete.
The design is complete.
Any other questions? What is the pleasure for resolution 2025-02?
Second,
We have a motion by Mr. Robinson and a second by Mr. Lopez. Mrs. Swopes, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
and Mr. Lopez.
yes.
Okay, item 2, motion carries, sorry. Item 2 is a request for approval of resolution 2025-03 and ratification of the Transportation Project Fund, TPF, application for the maintenance project involving various streets in North Portales.
So with this one, this is a maintenance project. So that means that we would be preserving and we would be doing improvements for drainage. And we are looking at a hopeful for Lime Street on this one. And this is the first time that we will be putting this one into the TPF application. And so we are asking for the council to approve the resolution to submit this one into the application process. And I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it Lime Street where the Ulida lateral project is gonna go through? Deep water project.
I believe that has to do with the Lime Street tank. Is that correct?
That's
Maybe that part of that road is gonna have a pipeline under
Okay.
it. And in the past,
Are they going into the road or are they just doing along like they've been doing and getting easements?
we'd have to look at the map, but I've been looking at it every time we go to a water Lotus, and it pretty much shows that route going down Lime Street, so.
And if that's the case, then we can work with them and find out what direction they're wanting to go with it, and maybe we can work something out with them.
What I'm saying is if the pipeline's going in there and they're tearing the street up to put that in, then that's part of their reconstruction, is to lay that back.
Correct.
Right up.
That's why I'm questioning that particular location.
Question, correct me if I'm wrong, we put various streets, so we don't have to exactly do just Lime
That
Street.
is correct. So we could,
And I had I seen that it said various streets, but in your application, is it not better to actually name the street so that they're specific on what you're using the funds for, or do they let you buy what's at various?
so on certain applications, you are correct, and on other applications, it is better to put various because it depends on when you are awarded and what you have going on and your justification for such streets.
So at that point, then you'll just report all of that to DOT.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been talking about the line, does it go up to Highway 70 to the crossing?
Yes.
Well, we've been working on that for years. Nobody seems to think that the water's not gonna drain through there to Boston.
We have been looking at Lime Street, and that was one of the reasons that we wanted to pick this one, because we have been looking at the drainage issues and wanting to try to improve those.
Well, according to the county and the city, we're working together because of the buildings where the peanut mill is and all that.
Yes, sir,
And when it rains, all that water comes up of those buildings,
it does. And over by the fairgrounds and everything else.
so it's gonna be drained out of there.
That is what we would be working on. Yes, sir.
Well, I hope you get it.
Thank you.
It's you ready to get fixed.
I agree.
And when you say improve drainage, now when you come down that's Chicago,
Boston.
Boston, when you come down Boston, if you improve drainage on the line. And if you go right next to the peanut plant, all the way to the railroad track, the worst part of the end part of that is on the other side of the railroad track, drainage. All that water gonna come down there, and we already got a ditch over there. It's right behind my house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and when it rains, if you're gonna improve the drainage, we need to think about a fairway, roadway, spillway or something, because right now, the people on that property are underwater anytime it rains. All the way around to the new Sunday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So if you
talking about drainage,
Yes, sir.
go all the way to Highway 7,
Mhm.
from Sonic all the way back to your property.
Okay. I will write that down. I appreciate that.
Anybody else?
It's, the first one, we're in a phase that's further along than this, correct? The first one that we just looked at, the one on Avenue K,
Oh, yes,
we're
sir.
further along in the phases than this one.
Yes, sir.
So this is basically a request to
Begin the process.
plan, design, and maintain.
Well, this is a request for maintenance. And so this one would be a possible. Well, it would be maintenance, so it would be, you know, drainage improvements, like I was saying, and possible mill and fill, that type of thing. But it's beginning the process of applying. So like I was saying, with the capital, sometimes it takes 3 years for it to go through. So this is the first time we're gonna put this one in, and so it's beginning the process.
So the project scope shows construction rehabilitation to preserve, improve drainage and safety, including striping and signage. So we won't have to go to planning and designing, we can go to straight shovel work, road work.
Yes,
correct?
ma'am, it would be shovel ready.
Yes,
So this may be more toward. More here, but. We had a presentation a while back, or you had a discussion with us, I believe, about some software that's gonna help us evaluate the streets.
Correct.
That need, because I'm not opposed to, they all need attention. But there's ones that are worse than others.
Correct.
We're really struggling with some of the ones we choose to fix, and I just don't hear a clear process of how we're deciding what we're fixing.
We have not done that. We have not purchased the software. Well, we've not gotten the company to come out and do that with the software yet because we're just still working out the money thing, but we do have a quote for it. We still have a quote for it. We have a quote, but we just haven't done it yet. So right now, we're just trying to spread.
It just seems really willy-nilly.
That is the best way to decide. That's kind of the easiest way to decide in my opinion, but right now we're just trying to spread it across the city and while we have Lime Street up there, it does say various streets, so we can move it around if we need to.
And to address that just a little bit, one of the reasons that we did pick Lime Street is because of the industrial and commercial area that is flooded so prominently, yes, and the fairgrounds, and that's used quite a bit. There are trucks that move in and out of there quite a bit. That is a road that is important. Residents use that to go to commercial areas and, you know, for economic purposes to get to 70. And we wanted to make sure that we are paying attention to roads like this one. And so that was one of the reasons that we did pick. Yes.
That's the fact. I drive down the line a lot after the block. I mean, it needs improvement, I agree, and, you know, definitely needs improvement, that's for sure. Or there are other roads that are in worse shape.
Would you like to see like a 5-year plan or something? Or just-
Something that we can tell how we're looking at what road we're fixing and what, you know, we decide on.
And if you do look at our comprehensive plan that we have from 2023, then you will see some of these streets on that. And that is compiled from citizen input and that type of
Could we
thing.
see
So
that? Bring that next one?
I can. It's also on the Portales City website. For anybody else that is wanting to look at that. But there are a couple of streets on there.
Well, I can tell you that we've been working at Abilene for the last 10 years or better. Since I was a commissioner and since I was a.
so I have a question on that. We had at one point on the table working with the county to do an MOU that they would build the road for us. We would apply for the grant and then we would, this was probably when we were working on negotiations.
Mhm,
I know it was prior to your time and probably prior to your time too, Joe.
mhm.
So maybe we want to look at that again. I'll look through my notes and find that. And maybe we can come back to the table for that. I know it was, I can reach out to the former county manager to see, where that was.
I believe that that had to do with the CDBG grant, if I'm remembering some of the paperwork that I've looked at before. And I have looked into that. There are a couple of things that were kind of roadblocking that a little bit. But yes, I do believe that we have looked into that before, yes. And that is before my time, so I'm not sure of all of it. But yes,
Okay.
You have one more question.
yes, sir.
That road goes right in front of the peanut place.
Yes, it is.
Have they been contacted to be to join in some of this cost?
They have not yet.
They have-
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to know.
Okay,
They were prior.
okay, so they have been prior, not by me, not yet.
Okay.
But that is something that I could reach out and do again.
I wanted to ask that.
Mhm.
because
No,
I-
and that is,
Cause they park on the other side, they
Yes.
park on this side, and they use that quite a bit, so like they have some. They have some built-in responsibilities there.
And I know
And-
that were part of, sorry, Joe, I know that part of what they were doing to, kind of put all of that into, like, do their part, their due diligence was that they poured all that concrete. So all the drainage was not going towards like all of that, creating the potholes and all of that. So they did spend a lot of money on the concrete portion of that.
and like I said earlier, it does help to have other entities come together. So, and even with support letters and whatnot, in order to receive the approval for the grants. So yes, we can definitely reach out again and we can see what we can do. Yes,
Do we still have the consult from Jason James? I forgot.
yes, we do. Jason Burns.
Jason Burns, yes.
Yes,
So he's still,
we are working with him right now, currently on the TPF funds we received from last year to figure out how many roads we were able to do in rehab.
okay.
Mayor, I got another thing on that line.
Yes,
Mine was done from Boston to North Main with CDBG grant. And it was up right there because we were having a lot of problems with everybody trying to build that line from there to the Highway 70.
okay. I'll have to look into that with all of our records and see what the issue is and see if we can possibly overcome that. I appreciate that history.
Mr. Merrick?
I think with the drainage issues that they're gonna face between Highway 70 and Boston. That you're probably gonna expend that whole $2 million in there to come put drainage in. And it needs to be addressed with the peanut plant because of. the fact they've been able to pull trailers straight across that road.
Mhm.
And if the big drainage ditch goes in there, it's gonna create an issue for them. They'll have to have entrances, exits.
Mhm.
And so I can foresee us spending that whole amount on that little short strip before you can get to the rest of it.
Well, and in the process of doing the construction, we would have to do some right of ways and we would have to make sure that we have those letters out and request those things. So yes, sir, I understand that too, yes.
Any other questions? Hearing none, what is a pleasure?
Second,
We have a motion by Mr. Robinson and a second by Mr. Lopez. Mrs. Swopes, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Sell,
Yes.
and Mr. Lopez.
yes,
Okay, motion carries. Item 3 is the request approval for resolution 2025-04 and ratification for the Transportation Project Fund application for design projects involving East University streets in Portales.
So this one is for design, and this is also going to the TPF. To the TPF grant, and this is also a first round to go towards them. And this is just to plan and design with engineers so that we can do a phase 1 for university. I'll stand for any questions.
So with that said, on the project scope, you do have plan, design, construction, rehabilitate, preserve, improve drainage and safety, including the stripping. Should we take that out and just add plan and design? Because that's what we're gonna use it for?
It is what we're gonna use it for, and normally we go ahead and we put in the construct, reconstruct, and that is just in case there's a little bit left over for something, and then we're able to do a little bit extra.
Just to spend the whole,
Yes, ma'am.
the whole award.
That way it's completely covered.
Questions? Mr. Merrick?
If there's money left over in your design phase, anything left over, you just held back over a couple of 2 or 3 years until you get the rest of it funded or?
There is an expiration date to it, so not so much as held back for so many years.
That's why I was asking that, because in my opinion, after looking at all of these projects and what we're spending on design, we've got to find someone cheap to do the design phase, because compared to what they do and what your actual cost of the road is and what you're trying to do, it's too big a percentage for the design phase.
So
I understand that the design is going to cost us some money, but to spend $500,000 on the design of that phase of the project,
mhm.
and then probably go back and request another $3 million to do that project.
So I'm sorry.
It just seems like a high percentage to me going to design.
I understand, and it does seem like a lot. And with engineers, it's pretty much across the board that they are all going to, it's a similar amount. Part of it is for drainage purposes, survey purposes, certifications, in case there are any expenditures that we have to do on larger surveys, that type of thing. It's basically covering to make sure that we have what we need for any unforeseen costs that may come up.
We're really short of engineers. There's not many of them.
Well, we have some engineers that are on call, and we have some pretty good engineers.
Here in Portales, are you bogus?
We have on-call engineers with the city. So we have contracts with our on-call engineers. And they've done a pretty good job for us so far.
I guess it's the same one that being used, right?
I believe so. Yes,
You lack and all that.
I'm sorry,
You lack, eh?
ELAC, Lydic?
Yeah, they lack.
Yes, we have used them.
Mr. Robinson?
On that same vein, though, didn't we hire sometime back a consultant engineer, Jason, to help us with this kind of project, and what's his input in this?
So his input is that he was good with the amount and with what we're doing. He did look it over and he agreed as well.
But I thought the reason we hired him when he came aboard was to cut costs on design.
Oh. So I'm not sure that I can answer that for you.
Will you look at his contract again?
I will.
Any other questions?
I just have, on your, actual project cost sheet, which is page 3 or 4. There's
Oh,
two corrections that need to be made there. That's 25,000, not 2,500.
yes, sir.
There's also another receivable on the 500,000.
Yes, sir. And I did mark that down and I meant to say that at the beginning of my presentation. You are correct. Thank you.
Okay, so can you just, go over the numbers, the correct numbers, please?
The correct numbers. Okay, so yes, we are asking for 500,000 and the local match would be 25,000. And the state share would be 475,000.
And applying for a match waiver, and if we don't get it, then this money is budgeted to proceed with the project.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, what is the pleasure of the council?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Robinson, a second by Mr. Lopez. Please, Lopes, roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
No.
Mr. Sell,
They know.
I'm gonna repeat that just to make sure. You said no, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Okay, and then Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Majority carries the vote.
Thank you, Ms. Lopes.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next section is for finance. Ms. Rivera, she is going to we are going to do the request for approval to adopt ordinance 772, adopting a municipal gross receipts tax. So we will need to enter into a public hearing for ordinance 772. So what is the pleasure of the council to enter into a public hearing? Motion by Ms. Parker and a second by Mr. Merrick. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are now in public hearing. So, do we have anybody in the audience who would like to speak on behalf for our tax receipt, gross receipts tax for ordinance 772? We have anybody in the audience who wants to speak in opposition of ordinance 772? Okay, hearing none, we need action to close the public hearing. We have a motion by Ms. Parker and a second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item C is action by council on adopting ordinance 772. We will have prior discussion. So Ms. Rivera, floor is yours.
So again, to recap, the intent was also shared, of course, with the plenty of notice to our public. We have had the public finance workshop that was held on the 15th. Then we also, of course, presented to our finance committee on the 29th. And again, our current municipal rate is at 1.4375, and the increase of 0.6125 would put us at the max available rate, which is the 2.5%. If this is approved, then this would be effective July 1st. And with our current rate being at 7.9375 here in Portales, consumers can expect that rate to be at the 8.55%. And I will stand for any questions. Yes, sir.
Questions? Comments? Hearing none, well, before we go through, I just want to state for the record that when we discuss this, this will bring up, and correct me if I'm wrong on the figures, it's 62 or 64 cents per $100.
About 61 cents.
61 cents. So just so the public knows, the increase will be 61 cents per $100 on gross receipts tax. Okay, what is the pleasure of the council?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Rackler and a second by Ms. Parker. Danielle, will you call the roll on this one as well, please?
Yes. Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
and Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Okay, next item is the police department, Mr. Williams. Request for approval for the mayor or mayor pro tem signature on FY 2025 Law Enforcement Protection Fund application. Mr. Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Council. And this is just our annual funding from the state. It's a distribution from DFA. And it simply requires the Mayor Pro Tem or mayor's signature on our application. So
Do we have any questions? We have a motion by Mr. Merrick and a second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so next we have council and staff comments. We'll start with the staff. Do we have anything from the staff that we would like to? Ms. Kelly?
So we're looking at the possibility of looking at our nuisance, for weeds and debris, ordinance, just to get that dated. We were gonna see if there was any council members that would like to help us review that and to get it ready to start going to commission and then to come to council for possible amendments.
I'll volunteer. Ms. Rivera? Oh, Ms. Kelly, was that all? I'm sorry.
That's all I got.
Okay, sorry. Ms. Rivera, your turn.
So this month of March, we'll be working on our budget process and preparation for fiscal year 26. Preliminary budget is due June 1st. We have sent out budget presentations workshop to council for April 28th and 29th, each evening from about 4 to 6 p.m. so that can be a part of our budget building.
Thank you for that.
What were the times?
4 to 6. And I believe calendar invites have been sent out. Anybody else in staff? Mr. Williams?
Last week, we were able to pick up 2 of the 3 new units that we were able to get with the funding from Representative Reed and former Senator Nybert from last year. We got 1 more up there that's still getting built. You'll notice a little different. You'll get away with the white on the doors. It was just kind of a problem with the crack and the curves. It show all the scratches. So now it's just solid black with the graphic on the side. So.
Congratulations on that.
Right, well, it helped when we had 4 units out of service last week.
So, yes. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Mr. Moore.
Real quick, we sent out water outage Facebook post today and press release. So tomorrow there's gonna be a water outage. So it's 17th and 18th Street and Lane from the 1700 to 1800 block. And it's, so tomorrow we're replacing the valve. And then on the 10th of March, we're replacing the fire hydrant. And then Friday, it's Employee Appreciation Day, so all city offices are gonna be closed. And once the winds die down, since our electrician's back, we're gonna get back on the street lights. Replacing the ballasts and everything like that. All our dumpsters are in. And as we get time, on days that we can do them, we're doing 8 to 10 per day. And as people send in, my dumpster has half of the bottom or something like that. I'm sending those out and we're getting those replaced. Probably before some of the other ones are gonna get replaced, but we're doing those. And then so the scenes for the softball field, and I'll send Mr. Elkins an email with the pre-emergent. It's another 6 months after we put that down before we can seed that. So we're getting ready to put the pre-emergent down, I think in a week or so. So that can be ready for softball season.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with sample comments. We'll start with Mr. Lopez. Mr. Self?
Speaking of the softball complex, were we waiting on a pump or something, or is everything working as far as irrigation wise? I had somebody ask me that.
We can irrigate using the pond. Once the pond's empty, until we get back in compliance with the wastewater, with the effluent water or the reuse water, we won't be able to do any more after that. So we're looking to put a liquid pre-emergent down, so we don't have to use as much water. And then we'll be able to water a little bit more, so we can try to get that grass a little bit better.
So to clarify,
as far as I know, everything is working. And unless something's happened in the past week or so that Steve hasn't told me.
Somebody asked me about using the Memorial baseball field. Who would they need to talk to as far as if they want to do maintenance on their own and just utilize the park?
The one here in City Park?
The one right here.
Yes, right over here.
If they want to do maintenance and stuff on it, that's we just need to know what they want to do. They can email me or they can email Steve.
They can just go. So if they want to use it, not only help do some maintenance stuff, but
they can email me, and then I'll get with Steve and make sure we're always okay with volunteers.
Okay. And then as far as a percentage roughly, what do you think you're completed on the dumpsters? 30%? 50%?
I'm gonna lowball it here at a 20%. I'm not positive because there were a lot of days that we haven't been able to put out dumpsters because we've been doing other stuff in the city. So, and since it takes 4 people, and we're behind on a lot of things, so. But I think they try to do it at least 1 or 2 days a week, if not more.
The master flow meter at the tank, did we ever get that going?
I'll have to talk to Chris. He had a family emergency, so he's not here right now. So I'll ask him, or I'll give Eric a call. We're still waiting on the pieces for it to come back from the one that went out with the electrical storm. We had to send off all the pieces, and then we were waiting. They were saying a couple months before we got it back, but I haven't heard an update on that either yet.
And thank you for the hard work on the grants. I guess I'm just frustrated that it takes so long to get road construction done, and I just never imagined it. And maybe it just comes down to money.
It's the grants go in cycles, and so right now we're in the road cycles, and that's the biggest piece, I think, is the biggest problem. And then TPF money, and again, it goes by a point system, so we're not always the ones that get picked. So that's the biggest grant that we can get out of road fund. And I don't know, did I send that PDF to everybody with the way that all the transportation grants that we're allowed, that we can apply for through the state? Okay, I'll send it again, but it gives dates when you can apply, who can apply, what we can apply for, and the different funding amounts that they give. Some of them are only up to $500,000. Some of them are 100, which doesn't help us a lot, and some of them are for different things that we can't use them for because we don't butt up to something or whatnot. But TPF is the biggest one.
Is that the PDF that comes through from the COG insert pool? No.
Yeah, I think it's probably a different one.
So if you'll send it.
It's one that says TLPA. And it has the local government road fund information on it. It's an NDOT's funding that they will put out through the state.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, behind the scene person, Ms. McVeigh, I need to shout out to the council people that she attends, COG meetings and, not only does she go up there where she is, she's an advocate for our road funds. She goes up and visit with, I can't think of the young lady's name, Serpo and all these acronyms that I can't even remember. But Joe is there. She and the lady at the car, they formed their bond, and most monies that come down some kind of way. We're gonna get a piece of it because Joe and the lady in COG are working in concert. So I think when she brings these grant things, she's done her homework and she's been networking and I know she goes to meetings. And wherever the meetings are for road fund. So I know that we got a champion out there working for us to get road funds. So I just want to shout that out there for the COG meetings. I'm surprised all of the things that she and COG is doing for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Mr. Rackler?
Michelle kind of touched on it, but I'm curious where we're at with getting the affluent water system back up to where it's. We're legal.
Right.
Are we doing anything?
I think the weather changed and I think it helped us a little bit, but I still don't think that we're completely in compliance yet. So I'll get with Chris and yes, sir. And I'll send you an email once I get an update from him.
Parker?
Kind of a shout out to kind of like what Mr. Robinson was saying to Joe and to your department for what you're doing at Rotary Park. I mean, with the we talked to Steve a little bit and we appreciate it very, very much with the skate park that you've added lights and you have a couple more coming in, which I think is really, really important now that we're getting ready to do chime change. The weather's going to start turning nice and there's going to be more kids out there just having them lit up. So if we could look at making sure that all our parks, not just Rotary, but all our parks are lit up, well lit, and then all the other little fitness equipment things that you have set up out there, and I kind of talked with them about what's going on. So I think we're getting to that point that once the weather starts turning. Thank you, Kelly, too, for looking at the ordinances as far as the weeds and everything, because right now we're just kind of sitting there, but then all of a sudden everything's going to jump into the weeds are going to start coming. We're going to start getting some rain, hopefully, on wood. You know, we're going to start calling about the trash, you know, the weeds, trash, and cans, and being in the park and so forth. So we appreciate your department's working. I know this is kind of a downtime for you right now, but yeah, it's getting ready to hit. So I appreciate it very, very much for you guys doing all the hard work that you do. Always there. Thank you.
Well, we already have a bunch of weeds, they're just.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer, on the lights. You know, I was going to ask you about the lights.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Street signs.
Yes, ma'am.
Third wind.
I think we're we're just waiting on, we're able to monitor some computer and some cables, and then we're waiting on the rest of our vinyl to come in. And then our street sign we'll be able to start using it. So we'll be able to start, doing street signs, stop signs. We'll be able to start replacing a bunch of things in-house, and it should go a lot quicker.
As far as emergency services, so if there's an address, and of course now with GPS, it's really good, but if for some reason somebody's going down a street and, what's your location? I mean, a lot of our streets don't have street signs, so for safety part of our citizens and everybody and it's very, very important that we have street signs.
Well, that's part of the 350 hours of higher orientation training that we all go through to ensure that they know how to find the appropriate address.
Good thing, because
Thank you.
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have all that stuff and we will start producing signs, and we should see a great improvement here soon.
Thank you, Mr. Merrick.
Just a little tidbit on that, when you do start making those signs, I think in the past we've had some issues with that. Aluminum cast bracket, right?
Correct.
Because of the end. I wonder if we couldn't contact like the Palace shop class and see if they wouldn't. Get into a project and build it on our own, maybe.
We can, we do know that the signs have to be bigger now per state regulations, so we're gonna need beefier pieces. Sure.
Just a suggestion. Since we've got a new boom truck, are we making rounds with it, or are we just waiting on the request from residents?
As we are working on, we got approval from Clean Beautiful to buy $1,000 worth of the big refuse bags, 3 yards. And once we get those in, we will be putting out a campaign basically to residents. It'll be free. They'll be able to clean up alleys, put furniture, no appliances because Freon, and there's a whole thing with that going to the convenience center, but furniture and all like tree trimmings. If people are tearing down stuff, they can put it in there, and then we'll be coming by 2 weeks later with a boom truck. More towards the summer, we are looking at doing once a month a curbside pickup with the boom trucks. So we'll be able to get mattresses and bigger items. That's one of our goals, is to kind of reduce that in our alleys. And I think doing the big bags and then doing the once a month pickup should help.
Even on talks with the people on the meters and.
I'm waiting on another quote from another company.
And then I'm giving you guys an option. I can give you a brief update on where we're at on the water project if you want it, or Orlando has graciously agreed to come at any time and give us a presentation, spot the presentation. So it's whatever y'all's pleasure. If you want to get done and move on to better things, or we say this later. It'll probably take about 10 minutes. With his presentation, you know, me going through and kind of telling them, well, that won't be taking over 10 minutes. I really had no presentation. All right. Well, we've kind of got everything split up in that youth water project in finished water phases and raw water phases. So everything from the reservoir to the treatment facility is called the raw water phase. Everything from the treatment facility to the city is called the finished water phase. So thank you, Joe, for bringing that up.
Yes.
We're basically on finished water 1, which is from Cannon Air Force Base up to the treatment plant. They're currently working on that right now, and they're at 95% completion. Finished water 3 is already completed. That is the one from Cannon Air Force Base back towards Portales. It was the first phase that they did. There is a little bit of restoration stuff that's still going on there, but that's pretty much done. Finished water 3B, which is the line they're currently working on for us. And it is about 62% completion. The topsoil removal, it's at about 70% because they don't want to get too much removed before they can get the pipeline in and fill it back in. Fiber optic is about 32%. We've got some vaults under construction. I think they've already finished the one that goes into our Line Street tank. It's been completed, and I think our crews are kind of cleaning the tank and getting it ready to put water back in.
We're going to do an inspection on it first, and then we're going to put water back in it.
They're also doing the OIDA turnout vault. It's what we were discussing earlier on Line Street. I'm pretty sure it goes down But it's true, but I may be wrong. They expect this 3B phase to be completed by July. Raw water 1A, which is leaving from the intake at Ute Reservoir. And it goes 14 miles towards San Juan. Is they're getting close to starting construction on that. Raw water 1B, raw water 2. Those are phases that are 100% permitted. They're about to go out for bid. Raw water 3, which is the last phase before it gets to the treatment plant. That one has been awarded and they will start moving pipe and supplies in and they will start that construction. They won't let the vendor, the one that has the project bid, they won't let them start construction until they've actually got pipeline in place. So that they don't get started, they didn't have to wait on pipeline to show up. So the lateral is at 90% design. I know the slide, I think, shows 62%, but they updated that at the meeting this last Thursday. It's at 90% design. The Texaco lateral is about to go into the bidding process. They've been able to utilize part of that core's pipeline for that phase, and they're tying on to the other end of that core's pipeline to supply the water to Texaco. The 28 million gallon per day pump station design is 100% done. They're going to start a pilot plant, which is it's a small mock-up of the treatment facility, and they're going to design this on skids and put it by the lake where our intake is, and they'll start drawing water in and treating it. And they're waiting on permits from the state environmental department to be able to release that water back into the lake. So they're going to do all of their testing on it and make sure that everything works the way they want it to before they go and spend multi-million dollars designing something and we find out it didn't work. So they have assurance that everything is going to work good, and they're hopeful that once it's all done, that once they treat the water, that 92 to 94% of that water pulled out of the lake will be used. And if you look online on reverse osmosis treatment, a lot of times you're going to find out that it shows you a lot higher percentage. That's because normally whenever they use this process, they're pulling like salt water, seawater, or deep water out of the saltwater aquifers and treating that, and so it's got a lot higher loss percentage. And they're hoping to be able to utilize between 92 and 94% of the water pulled out of the lake. So that's all I have. Shall I have some questions?
Do you foresee the Logan group holding up this project in lawsuits?
I don't. They've already tried this once. They don't have any grounds to stand on, basically. I don't feel. On the federal level, there's possibility that these funds don't be stopped. Well, they are kind of paused right now because we've got, I think, a $9 million allocation that's supposed to start coming our way. We haven't reached that phase that they were going to utilize that for, so it hasn't caused any problems. And most of the pipeline that we are starting different phases of, we have the money pretty much secured to finish the pipeline. While where we're at on requesting more funds is because the pumping stations and the water treatment facility. And those are big items. But we're moving along and they're pretty much just about every phase of the project that they bid out, it's usually coming in under budget, which is kind of unheard of. So I think those are brownie points for us whenever they look at the project and see that we're utilizing the funds very well. Orlando runs a tight ship. He's done a very good job.
Are they still looking at 2030? Did it say?
Of course, you know, if we run into some funding issues, that's gonna delay it, so. On our end, and we've got to continue to push forward on trying to make sure we've got supply to last us. So we can't just count on the youth project being our savior. It'd be great if it was, if it is, but they're finding like it's not.
Thank you for that update. Does anybody have any questions? We appreciate all your hard work on that committee. I know that takes quite a bit of time, so thank you again for always attending meetings and having updates and valuable information that you can provide. I have two things. I just want to put on the radar. Well, I have three things. The Gus Macker, June 21st and 22nd. I know that Jody's already just kind of had some talks, but you know, that's going to be a big event for the community. A lot of people coming in, tourism for that tournament. So whatever we can do to help support that. I told her that if she needs anything, I could kind of be a liaison if she needed or be on her committee. So that's coming up. And then if any grant money is, well, not grant money, any capital outlay money is awarded for streets, I would like to, and you know, with the support of everybody, of course, have a committee to see what roads we feel in our areas or in our wards are most important, so that all of our streets are being looked at in the community as a whole. That's just one suggestion that I have. And then the last thing is, of course, you know, we have a lot of basketball going on with Eastern and Bertalis. So let's get out there and support our university and our public schools. So that's all I have. Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I know I mentioned this several meetings ago and it's kind of put off until in the future because you've got an evaluation coming up. But
So
I still think that our council needs to sit down and kind of give you a direction of the way we would like to see things run and go a direction ahead.
we're gonna put it on the first council meeting in April, when we can have everybody here.
I'd like to ask, what are we gonna do with our swimming pool? Are we gonna get it ready for the kids this summer?
So that was asked last meeting, and Mr. Morier, you can go ahead and touch.
So we need $1.5 million in repairs.
We can maintenance it a little bit so they can use it this year.
No,
You don't need $1.5 million to do that.
there's no Band-Aid fixes for the pool anymore. It needs to be fixed. There's a lot of problems with it. Unfortunately.
Also, did we contact Eastern Affairs? So what did they say?
Their pool was also broke and they foresee it being closed at least through the summer. While they reevaluate whether they want to put, how much money they want to put into it.
The rumors are they may consider closing it,
That is correct.
and that's just the rumor, but.
Correct. They're still evaluating if where they need to, I think it's what I heard, it was close to $500,000 in repairs for them. And so they're evaluating whether they need to do that or spend their money for the students elsewhere.
So are we looking at just doing any kind of grants or working towards something? Because if not this summer, I mean, then.
We are trying, getting that amount of money in a grant for a pool is difficult. But I have another idea that I'm looking at that I don't really want to talk about until I actually talk to somebody. So, but there's another avenue that be able to take. I'm starting to trying to flush that out.
Say.
Right, splash pads.
And of course, I've heard good and bad, because what's happening is when you take the pools away, the kids don't learn to swim, they'll go and play in the water and splash and so forth. But as far as the swimming part of it, it just kind of takes it away. It's kind of one of those things that we learned when we were young, and so there's kind of, I know there's people that have splash pads now in their community. Like where I grew up too, we had a wonderful neighborhood pool, and they closed it and put a splash pad, and it's full all the time. And kids go and parents are there, and it's wonderful, but yet the kids are not learning how to swim.
Right, splash pads are not cheap to build, but they are very cheap. They're cheaper to maintain than a pool. So, and they have reclamation systems. They can reuse the water. Pools, I mean, they're not the best at conserving water, but it's not something that I'm happy about saying that we don't have the money to do that, but we just don't. So I'm looking at different things and a different way to go about this to figure out if we can get that back reopened.
Thank you, yeah. I know that you said, the grant money it's a huge ask for that type of thing, but I mean, we did get 785,000 for a skate park that is,
Correct.
so this is a bigger audience, so maybe
Absolutely.
we'll cross our fingers and then we can find something out there, so thank you for looking for that. Okay, next item is executive session, action to convene in a closed session to discuss matters as provided for under New Mexico statutes relating to limited personnel matters and discussion of the purchase, acquisition of real property and or water rights by the public body. Can we have a motion to enter into a public session?
So moved.
Executive session, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We have a motion by Ms. Parker and a second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor? Aye. Okay, if you guys will give us just a moment, we're going to convene into an executive session and we'll be right out. Okay, now we need action to convene into an open session, please.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Robinson and a second by Mr. Self. All in favor? Aye. So anything that was discussed in the executive session, there was no action needed and no action taken. So next item is adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you.